prosumer camera, and was basically running HDMI out to USB in. On was our first webcam. Did have a bit of a lag. So we've now just purchased a couple of Logitech 922s. What we're doing currently at the moment is kind of local singer-songwriter circles. So we're really trying to put together a kit that someone can sort of get up to speed on doing a decent sort of online stuff. We're really limited in terms of where we can get bandwidth, so we actually have to sort of book ourselves into either the radio station or the museum, or like places that have bandwidth, because where I'm sitting, I'm 0.5 megabits up. So I'm even grateful that it comes across. So I'm just interested in, like moving into better cameras. The video camera shoots great, but it actually does really good sound, but I'm still dealing with a lag, and I'm working on that. I guess that's about it for now.
Okay. And Todd Dennison?
Did you get our camera information?
Yeah, just the one.
Todd, are you with us?
Name of it.
Yeah.
There we go. How's that?
That's great.
Cool. Right before the pandemic hit, I was laid off from work and was the last person out of the building. And I walked around. We were closing the company permanently. And I was the last person out. And I walked around and said, these webcams will be useful someday. And I grabbed a dozen webcams off of some of the workstations. And they were the Logitech 920s. I'm using one of them right now. So when we started, I live with my duo partner, and I also work for the Folk Project out of New Jersey, which streams live 4 or 5 nights a week. We'll be streaming live tonight at 7. So I tried out a Canon Rebel. I tried out a Canon D60. I tried out the Logitech. I tried all the different webcams, and I tried the DSLRs. And I can tell you, my experience has shown me that the camera that has the best image and works the best, and you can find them on eBay, of the 5 or 6 cameras I tried, is the Panasonic Lumix G7. Freaking great. I am now streaming live our shows, and I take this, it's downstairs, but I have a container. We go and normally where we broadcast out of a big building, but because of the pandemic, we're using someone's home that has a very, very large living room. I'll put up a couple of white soft boxes that cost $100 maybe for lighting. Lighting's really critical. And I use the G7, and in order to use any of those DSLRs, unless it's a Canon or any of the ones that have a software interface, you have to buy a little hardware adapter. HDMI to USB. So it gets a little bit, there's a couple of things at play here, but so what I have is the Panasonic using the stock lens, which is just crystal clear and very saturated color-wise. It looks beautiful, into this Magwell adapter. There's a couple of different companies that make them, and that converts it from HDMI to USB into a computer, into a laptop. And I take the sound from the mixer and put it into the laptop, and in the laptop I combine the sound from my mixer and the video, and I use OBS to stream, and OBS takes care of, you can adjust the lag between sound and video. So as I said, I used to have a 920 on a tripod, the Logitech C920 webcam, crystal clear and great if you're doing this, but the minute you have to try and put 2 or 3 people, it's just the video quality is not great. So as I said, 4 or 5 different cameras. That turns out to be the winning mix for us. And we do, with Cliff Eberhardt's playing this Friday, we have all different acts going on, and this is the setup we're currently using.
Great. No, thanks, Phil or Todd. I look at this big thing. So we're talking cameras today. So I'll tell you about my setup. So currently you are looking at me on the laptop camera, the thing that came with it, which isn't terrible. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible view. One thing I believe strongly about all of these cameras is your lighting is going to make all the difference in the world. So if I switch from this camera to, I'm going to go to a M50, the Canon M50, and you see it's got that, why I don't, oh, my fault. Kind of, the camera went to sleep there. So there it is. So here's the Canon M50. I'm using a currently I'm using the 22 millimeter EFM lens. So Canon makes a whole mirrorless lineup. They've got the M series and then the R series, I believe. The R series is much higher priced. The M series is much more modestly priced. I think I saw some refurbished M200s and M50s right around the $500 to $600 range. I got mine significantly cheaper than that because I got a really good sale on a refurbished item. But anyway, that as Dennis was saying, there is software that Canon offers to, and with any of these cameras, you want to double check to make sure that the software will work with your camera, because it's not going to positively work with your camera. I don't think it works with a lot of the point and shoots, maybe one or two of them. But Canon released software just after the pandemic began that allows you to use your camera as a streaming camera. And I think it works great for when I do my YouTube show. It gives me the best image quality of what I have available to me. That said, my iPad isn't terrible. Your phone isn't terrible. What's on your laptop isn't terrible. And then there's some better, I know we bought a higher end plug and play camera for my wife for teaching. So there's all kinds of different possibilities. I ultimately, if I'm looking for quality for streaming shows or any kind of webinar presentation that I'm delivering, I prefer to use a higher quality, which is the Canon M50. And I like this 22 millimeter because it allows me to sit reasonably close to the camera. So I don't have a lot of space to work with. And I get a full frame where you can see me well. When I'm just sort of meeting up with the farm board and we're having meetings to figure out what we're going to do next, I just use what's on the laptop because it's easy and I don't have to think about it. And I'm going to turn back to that so I can see all of you, and I will open the discussion up. Please use your hands if possible. There are little blue hands available, and I will look for your physical hands if your blue hand isn't available for whatever reason. That didn't work. So I'm going to go switch back. There we go. Anyway, Todd, I'm sorry. I called you Dennis a second ago.
That's okay. Hey, I have to tell you, that M50 looks spectacular.
Thank you.
Well, I have it zoomed in on a 50-inch monitor, and the quality is just truly beautiful compared to your laptop, as you would expect. But I mean, significantly different. Really good picture. That was a great choice.
Thanks. So I don't know if we can see this well. So this is my M50. So one of the things that I looked for when I got this, I wanted high video quality. I wanted to be able to plug in a microphone. So if I'm out and about and I want to record something on the go, I can do that with a little plug-in microphone, keep it lightweight, interchangeable lenses. And I wanted some flexibility because I thought if I'm going to spend a bunch for a camera, I want to go out and take pictures of stuff, which I've really gotten into. That's become a fun hobby in the past year. It's just going out and photographing the birds and trees and whatever else happens to flitter in front of me.
Do you know what resolution you stream at with the M50? Do you know what it goes up to?
Well, I can do 4K on this thing, but the 4K does crop it semi-significantly. I've never run 4K because I don't think my laptop would handle it well. And if I'm going to Facebook, well, if I'm coming out of StreamYard, which is what I primarily use, That's coming out at $720 unless I want to pay a lot more money, which $25 a month is more than enough for me to pay for because I'm getting the quality I kind of hope to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I also worry, I'm not positive if this affects it, but if going with a much higher resolution also could suffer if your internet connection isn't as stable as, and being a Spectrum customer, there's no guarantees. I don't know from day to day what kind of signal I'm getting. I think that was true of AT&T, so I really don't have a choice in the matter. But yeah, I really like that M50. Who else wants to talk about their cool gear? Does anybody have a dedicated webcam that they use and they really like? No. Christopher, what are you using?
I mean, the reason I'm here is, like several others in this group, I'm looking to do something besides. I mean, I've got a decent laptop camera, and now my sound setup is elaborate, right? I'm doing condensers into a mixer, into a universal audio interface, et cetera, OBS and Restream Pro, all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of, I feel like I'm not hurting on that front. But on the video, I mean, the camera's okay. I pay attention to lighting, but I would, one of the things that concerns me is if I, lay out money like Charlie and a couple others did for the Canon M50, am I then locked into a single camera? As anybody doing like source switching live, where you might be able to use your phone or an iPad or?
I think Michael and Nell can answer this better, but
Okay.
I'm gonna jump to Susie because we're gonna follow the hands now, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure Michael and Nell have some information on that. Susie.
Yeah, I put a comment in the chat just because I bounced between the gallery view and your speaker view when you were on the Canon, and it's just so much crisper, there's so much depth to it. It's really cool. I just want to verify, so it's a Canon M50 mirrorless. Is there any other information on your camera is that the one? What approximately does it cost? It's a little different in Canada, but.
Well, I went to the Canon website. I'm going to go and look for the new version.
You can buy them used for
using,
$450.
they've moved to the Canon Mark II or the M50 Mark II, which is essentially the same. It's the same body. They didn't really physically change it. They changed some software in it. So now, if you wanted to shoot specifically for Instagram or for TikTok, it will give you those dimensions.
I'm seeing them used and refurbished for $470.
Yeah. I think that's what I got mine at.
Yeah.
Or some. Well, I got mine refurbished and it works great. I'm actually pulling up their refurbished site right now. But if you just type in Canon M50, you'll get all kinds of information on it. There's tons of YouTube information. There's one guy, and he lives right where I used to deliver newspapers, coincidentally. Gear Tech. Let me see if I can find his thing right after I find the price in the refurbished M50s. I'll drop his link in there. But he's got all kinds of instructional and informational videos on the M50 and all the lenses that come with it. And he's really good and explains everything. So if you're trying to, and when you get these cameras, these DSL and mirrorless cameras, aperture, shutter speed, things like this become an issue. Like you actually have to be aware of how you're setting your camera when you're setting it up. So a YouTuber like that can give you a lot of information that will help you to figure that out.
What's his site called again, Charlie?
I'm going to do that search in a second, but I'm looking at Refurbished M50s right now in the Canon website. They
I found one for
show,
675. I found a refurbished one and one
Okay.
for 780 Canadian.
here's a
So
body for 159. So that
wow, okay, I
so
missed
that
that.
coupled with that 22 millimeter, it's a fixed lens, so you can't zoom in and out, but it's really good for this kind of thing. Those run about 150 or something like that, so you can get into that. Or you can just get the kit lens, and they're really cheap. You can go on eBay and get the kit lens for the M50 for next to nothing because nobody seems to want them. But they're good lenses. It's not a terrible lens. It's just not the hot thing right now, I guess. Michael, now you want to tell us a little bit about ways to bring multiple cameras into one stream?
Well, actually, we don't have multiple cameras. We have one camera that we use. It's a Panasonic Lumix G, and some of the other lettering on the box is DMC-G7W, and I found 4K on there. I can't profess to really even know what most of this stuff means, but we use it because it was recommended by a videographer that we've used on our videos. And so we have this camera, and let's see if I can explain how it's all put together. At this video shop, they put together a wiring system for us where the audio goes through the camera from either the board or the Focusrite. It goes through the camera and then back into the computer. And in that way, it pretty much eliminates the whatever latency problem we might have had. Every once in a while, we'll get a little latency, and I believe that might have more to do with volume of traffic on the internet. But we have we had a session with Brandon a while back. And we
What's up,
described.
Exegete here, and welcome to the
Pardon me.
2019 Tech Gear Talk on Black Friday and how.
He's not muted over there. And he told us with a grin that we had the most complex system he'd ever seen. Because we also we run this stuff through a Blackmagic interface, which has multiple inputs. So normally when we do our Joe Hill Roadshow presentation, we use the Blackmagic to switch between the camera image of us and the PowerPoint image, which is generating from another computer. That's an input to the Blackmagic. So of all that, I guess long story short, the basic information for most people that would be of any interest is the camera that we use, which is the Panasonic G7, and it works fine. The lens is a 1442 lens, and it works just fine for us. I haven't really had any problems with clarity. What you're seeing now is not the camera. This is simply the computer camera.
Yeah.
And the computer microphone. That's what we're using right now for this, hanging out thing. So we have mics going into the mixing board. The mixer goes into the camera. The camera goes out to the Focusrite. The Focusrite goes into the Blackmagic.
Well,
the Blackmagic goes into the computer. You'll go
Focusrite's-
crazy if you try to follow this.
Focusrite's not working right now. We tried it the other day and we couldn't get the button that you have to use when you use
Phantom power.
phantom power. We couldn't get the phantom power on the Focusrite, so we went back to our little board.
Yeah, a little.
But this is all,
Yamaha
this
mixer.
is all we had to learn how to do all this because of the multimedia Joe Hill Roadshow that we do, and we got a grant and we had to figure all this out in very little time and get it together to do 8 shows, which was nice because we got some grant money that kept us going in the middle of the pandemic. So
Yeah, and lighting. Let's talk about lighting. Well, right now, what you see is light from the window and an overhead lamp
in our dining room.
in the dining room. What we normally use for broadcasting is real simple. It's just a couple of work lights, one on each side, and they're not shining directly on us. They're a little bit skewed to the side, And there's a couple of small lamps on either side to the rear of us, and that's our lighting. Seems to work, so I don't know if we're going to change it. I hear about different types of lighting, and I don't know what we have seems to work. So I don't know that we're about to change it anytime soon.
If it works,
What kind-
that's what you want. I'm sorry. Who did I interrupt? Was that Eric?
No,
Okay.
that's me. I was going to ask
Mark.
what kind of bulbs you use in the work lights.
What kind of bulbs?
These are incandescent bulbs in the work lights. They're maybe 60-watt bulbs.
I'll tell you, Mark, what I've been using is the smart bulbs. There's a couple reasons. One is they're LED, so they don't get terribly hot, which is really important, especially if you're trying to filter the light a little bit. You could put like parchment paper or paper towel over it to soften the light. But the smart lights also allow you to control them from your phone so that you can set the color of the lighting, the temperature of the lighting. You can do all kinds of different things to change your lighting. So if all you're using is, say, like shop lights with a bulb in it, smart lighting is really good because you can really customize what you're doing. That said, I use these panels, these LED panels, and they really do help out. They're not very expensive. I think I paid $200 for a set of 3, which enables me to get a semi-professional look. Just to clarify what Michael and Nell were saying about bringing those cameras in, for a lot of cameras, you need some sort of video capture card if they don't work directly off your USB. They run for about $129 for the good ones, but I'm seeing them cheaper and cheaper every day on Amazon. But yeah, if you're just using like a basic camcorder or something, you're going to need a video capture card. And then you need to have a clean HDMI out so you're not getting all the text and everything displayed on your screen. And
The Chinese ones are a crapshoot, though.
are they?
The $29 ones may or may not work. You may be lucky and get a good one, it may not.
Those are probably some of the items that when you order from Amazon and it doesn't work and you send it back, or you ask for the refund, they say, don't worry about sending it back to us. We don't care. Stuff costs us a cent. Who is next? Brant was next, I think.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I'm using the old or good old Logitech 920C video cam that was recommended by Jamie Harris and Mary Gaucher during one of the tech talks. I think it was with Farm, and they have they had a whole page or two of what they used. So that's what I ordered on eBay, and it's been working pretty good. I don't do a bunch of cameras or anything like that. My streams, I've just done one, and it seems to work pretty well. I've only used it for this, type of thing, and for meetings, and just for myself mainly. So I'm not sure I need to venture into SLRs or anything like that, but who knows? And I do, try to get lighting. I've got a ring light just got it on Amazon for like $60.
There's some background noise. Do you hear that?
Yeah, that could be me. I have a neighbor vacuuming. Let me mute.
Yeah, so I've got a ring light, just one that I put to the side, and I got it on now, and I've put another light just to kind of light up the other side a little bit. Just a regular old desk lamp that I kind of face down so it doesn't shine in my face much. And I guess that's about it. Of course, if we keep on doing this and this becomes a big thing, you might want to get into some more fancy types of technology, but it seems to work. Can't hear you, Charlie. Can't hear you.
There we go. See, I've got a neighbor vacuum running the vacuum right above me at the moment, so I had to mute myself. And Bart, Bart bounced out of the room. He's back. Oh boy. If somebody else could talk while he's vacuuming the room directly above me, that would be super.
I had one more thing to ask or put out there. You know, I've got a background image right now, and just on my Mac that I can, you know, get from some old Bryce Canyon. This happens to be Bryce Canyon from a couple years ago, but I'm not too sure about the green screen thing. I don't have, you know, I guess, is there an actual green screen that people use behind them that will allow you to get better, or is that required? Because it, I remember reading something that if you don't have a certain thing available on your computer, then you need a green screen, an actual physical one. But I don't need that. But then again, I get, my head starts going away and stuff. So if anyone has anything to say about that, I'd be interested.
I've done a lot of experimentation with the green screen. Ultimately, I don't like it. It means that I need to maintain a clean cut, because if you have loose hairs, the light picks up the green and all of a sudden things start disappearing. So you want to have really clean cut when you start using it. I think Phil was using it for a second. He just vanished into it. But the green screen, really, what it demands is that you have a very consistent background. So, you know, I think I just paid like $12 for just a green sheet that I hung behind me. And then you have to go completely out of your way to stretch it, so there's no ripples or changes in the way the shadows are hitting it. And then you want to light it very consistently. And if you have a dedicated space with black walls and consistent lighting coming from all directions of the screen, you're going to get beautiful results. You know, you're going to look like the weather person on channel 3 at 6. But if you are hanging out in your studio with pictures and photos and books and all kinds of different shades and colors, the technology is going to struggle to figure out what is you and what is the background. And that's what it needs to understand, is what the difference between who you are and what's behind you is. And if it struggles to figure that out, then you become your past. No, wait a minute.
I just want
I got existential there for a second.
I just had a thing I did for Surfa with a group of people, in one of our there was one woman who had a black thing on her wall stretched across, and it really looked good. You know, she stood out really good, and it was simple but kind of focuses on the performer. So that's something you're talking about there that could be useful.
I think what I've found works best for me is I illuminate my background. I usually use like some sort of colored light, like those smart lights, so I can get a bright background behind me in the temperature or color I want, and then I shoot another light over my shoulder. So the darker, so if I've got my primary, like right here, you're looking at my primary lights coming here. And then you can sort of see a little edge of light happening around my head right here. And that's coming from the natural light coming from the window. But in the evening, I would literally put another light behind me out of the frame a little bit. So it would hit me and create that line. So there's a definition so you can see my entire head, so I don't vanish into the background. And it helps you to jump out a little bit. Backlighting is I guess the technical term.
Okay, great.
I usually go the opposite of where my prime light is, so it definitely comes around, and I still get that dramatic shading.
Cool.
Phil, you've got your hands up, or your hand up.
Multiple hands. Whoa. Okay. Just kind of a collective request for any input. I was gifted a GoPro camera, which is really good for pictures and really good for video that you download later. I'm a little baffled by it being a webcam. Has anybody used one? And if they have, what's their success? If they have and it wasn't a success, what do they think? I was kind of hoping to use it. So anybody got any opinions?
right off the bat, my first opinion is because of the fisheye lens, and I haven't figured out how to get out of that fisheye lens. It's not my favorite go-to. The GoPro isn't my favorite go-to. I was fooling around with it yesterday, where I was sticking it in the bird feeder, and yeah, I mean, everything sort of gets this sort of round. It was a cool effect because I was able to get the birds right, right up on top of it. But
Well, I can get out of the bird's eye effect. I've figured out that much. But
okay, I haven't figured that one out.
yeah, it seems to be the least friendly to actually hook up as a webcam. And I say that I haven't tried hooking much of anything else up. Right now, I'm using the camera out of my MacBook. But I was hoping maybe somebody had some experience, because I'm hoping maybe to use it in a live situation.
As long as you're not using the sound, it should be okay. That I've heard that there's the sound attachment for it is awful if it exists at all.
Okay. Yeah, I was not intending on using the sound, right?
Then it's still possible. But there have been some bad versions of GoPros that just stop working, and that's not good in the middle of a broadcast.
No, well, I mean, family history, typical of my son. When I ask for something, say, gee, I'd really like kind of one of these, he always gets something that's way off the chart. I would have accepted a $29.99 click and play. That's all I was looking for. And he gets me this thing. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative and very humbled, but it's kind of like, okay, now I have to figure it out.
Do you know what model it is, Phil?
I don't have it. It's the 9.
So it's the most recent version.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the most luck with that one, I'm sure. Is it the black?
Yes, the black 9.
So yeah, you've got the highest end, I think, that they produce at the moment. Oscar? Jay Oscar? You're still muted.
Mute. All right. Am I in there?
There you go. I heard your voice.
Hey, there we go. Thank you. Had the wrong input last time. Right now, you are looking at me through an iPhone 6. So I think that one of the interesting things you can do nowadays is you can use these. Let me turn some of this off. That we don't need that. Okay. You can use your iPhone, and I think you can also use Android phones. I happen to have the iPhone, and this is an old one I kept, so I could use it for a webcam. And so that's what you're looking at now. I also going through a thing called, there's a company called Xsplit, Xsplit. And there's sort of like, I think what they did was they split from OBS, where they forked at that point, at some point. And so it's a lot similar to OBS, but it's also a little smoother. It's just, it's a little more refined. And I found that works really well. They make a thing called the Xsplit Vcam, which allows you to do, I think if you notice a little bit in the background here, that it's a little faded. I can go and make it fade way back in there. And that is using this Xsplit Vcam, okay? You can also do the thing that a lot of people are doing where you can go and throw up a background and do that. But as you can see, without a green screen and having a lot of different color and things like that, it fuzzes out pretty bad. I'll go back to the original.
What is your background, Oscar? It's really dramatic. I really noticed your lighting and that. So that you're on green screen right now then. So
this is just my room right now.
Right.
I'll clear it up a little bit. I actually have I went nuts, and so you'll see that there's a velvet curtain over here in the green. I think I can point at it somewhere in back there.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
And then there's curtains that I gave to somebody else, and they gave them back to me. And these are the kind of purple ones. I have two lights showing on those curtains. You can see there's another one over here.
It looks really good. So this
Thank
is your
you.
real room. It's not a picture. I was like,
Yeah.
is this his real room? Is this a picture?
Yeah.
And so
this
what
is
have
the
you
real
got
room.
on you for light?
So I have a what's called a I think
The ring light or
Charlie. No, I'm using a panel, and
panel?
yeah.
So that's the square sort of ones with the round back.
Now, because this is an iPhone, I can go and
Okay.
pick this
Oh yeah,
up
you can show us.
and move it around. Now, of course, you're going to get flashed with the light here all of a sudden. All right, there it is. But it's a square light,
Okay.
and it's just up there. This one's by a company called
Oh, okay. Thanks,
Nanlite.
Charlie.
Sure.
Oh, so it's quite small. I live with a
Yeah.
photographer, so I've got like the big
Yes.
ones at my other setting. And I just use one because there's overhead lights in there, but it looks really good. It looks
Thank you.
really dramatic in there, and you're well lit, and
Well,
and
and
it's
when I use my other thing, and I can't show it to you, I'll show you the camera here real quick. I also have a Logitech 930, which is a different version of the camera people are talking about, the 920. And so down here, you'll notice this thing pops up.
okay.
From way down here. This is my Artie guitar cam. So I can do a split screen where I can show me playing, and I've got the guitar here, and then I can have that on the bottom, and I can put on the top the image that you were seeing before. I also use, for my main camera, the thing I use typically is this, which is the same thing Charlie's using. And this is the M50, and it's got the kit lens on it, but the lighting makes all the difference.
So you just have the one rectangular small light that Charlie showed on you this way.
This way. I
Yeah.
also have a backlight behind me.
Okay.
Okay. And that's up in the air on an actual, just a music stand, or on
Okay.
a you know, come on, what's that thing called? Mic stand. But I also got those from Nanlite. They are these kind of things. What it is a tube light. And this light is really nice because it's got colors and all kinds of stuff. I have several of these. I'm not really using all of them that much, but I put them on below the desk, and that gives the guitar some light. It gives it a little bit of shine and makes it look more natural, actually. You put it together so many unnatural things to make something look natural.
Funny. Can you repeat what kind of light that is, that little bar light?
Okay,
Or put a link in the chat would be great too.
I
Yeah.
will do that. It's Nanlite, Nanlight, one company. They're from China, and I'll turn this one on while we're talking. But Sweetwater has these. Sweetwater also has the panel light that I have up there. So that's where I got those from.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'm as I start thinking about venturing across the country on the train, I'm looking for portable lighting so that when I do remote stuff, I have something that I can use.
These are fantastic because they are, I'll turn it way down here. They are portable, they're battery powered. They can do all kinds of stuff. They have different light temperatures. I'm looking here to, so you can get something really bright and moon-like. You can also get something really, very golden if you want these. And they also do color things, so you can do a color wash and stuff like that. They're not terribly bright, but they are pretty useful. And they have magnets on them, so you can clip them. Can't show that to you right now, but you could actually clip them to a mic stand if your mic stand is metallic enough. So if you've got a jam someplace, clip this to your mic stand, you could see what you're trying to read, and people can see you. So those are a couple things I use. By the way, I have background stands in my little tiny room to hold up these curtains, and they are all around me, which has the extra benefit of being sort of sound deadening and gets the light in from outside. This is the first time I've talked in 2 days out loud. So I'm just noticing my voice. If anybody's got any questions, shoot them to me or whatever. I have a website, jaskerbittinger.com, and so I'm on the Facebook too.
Hey Bart, what you got? You're an M50 user. How do you power that thing? You're muted. There you
Yeah,
go.
I've got an adapter rather than use the battery, which runs out after about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've got hooked up now. And like Oscar, it's the kit lens that you're seeing. It looks pretty good. But I think the way to go, if you're going to go the route of an M50, and it's a great camera. I mean, besides a webcam, it's a great video camera. It's a great still camera. The autofocus is really excellent. If you're going to go that route, I suggest just buy the camera body and skip the kit lens. And then after the fact, get something like you've got, Charlie, that 22 millimeter EFM attacher. And then you get a really crisp professional. Yeah. Yeah, and I see those you can get those direct from Canon for like $200, and then it's about maybe 250 if you go through B&H or something like that. But I think that's the way to go if you're going to go for an M50.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The gentleman who was talking about the GoPro, I don't use that, but I work for Michigan State University, and the guy who does all our multimedia, he swears by GoPro. He uses that for his webcam. I was going to do that, and instead, back before I got the M50, I went with this. It's called a Razer Kaio. This was back when you couldn't get Logitechs because they were just, you couldn't, for $1,000 you couldn't get a Logitech. They didn't exist. But this is what gamers use. It's got a little ring light on it and works really well. It gives a good wide angle, and I like this quite a bit. It's Razer and then Kiyo. I think it's Japanese. But yeah, it's a nice camera. For lighting, I use this. It's called a Lume Cube. It's literally 2x3, and it puts out a lot of power. If I use it with this, I'll use it with the ring light, and works pretty well.
Cool. And I think that those Lume lights are right in the same ballpark as the Nan light, J. Oscar. And I've seen a lot of good stuff on the Lume lights. Do those have an easy way to attach them to things?
They've got
or anything.
You can attach it to a Gorilla Grip, a Joby.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the little screw in it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Who is next? Who's got a hand up? I don't see any hands up.
I didn't have a hand to put up.
You don't have a hand. Well, Mark, what do you have to say?
I was going to ask the person who was using multiple cameras what they use for switching.
I could probably answer that, but Nan and Michael and Nell, they use the Blackmagic. You want to tell us more about that?
Okay, yes. The Blackmagic, it's actually what we know as a switcher. The function that it has actually 4 input channels. So you could, if you were into multiple cameras, easily switch from one to the other. We use it to switch from a PowerPoint presentation on the computer to the camera and back and forth. But it has much more potential than we use.
I'll tell them about something else.
Sure.
Well, yeah, one thing about it is like when we're doing a presentation, like say we're talking or we're showing some lyrics on the screen, we can put up a little tiny picture of us overlaid, as we're doing things. So we kind of can have two things happening at once.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, when we're doing our show, just, the talking without an image somewhere is, kind of boring. So we put the little picture up, or take a slide out of our PowerPoint and stick that up while we're singing a song. We often use it like that.
Yeah.
That it has a lot more potential than what we're using. It's got all these inputs in the back where you could do a whole bunch of stuff if you wanted to. I mean, it was basically made for film and multimedia productions.
Multi-cameras.
Multi-cameras, right, which we only use one camera, but you could have more than one, and you could have more than one microphone too if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing about the picture-in-picture that Nell just mentioned, one of the things that I don't like about it is that the little picture is like a really little picture. If I could figure out how to do it, I would blow it up to about 2 or 3 times the size that they offer.
So we just had it. Oh, we on one of our tech talks, and I want to say it was almost a year ago. That's how long we've been doing this. The guy was explaining how to use that Blackmagic ATM Mini, and he devised himself some foot controls with it. So I think he was using popsicle sticks. I'm trying to remember who that was, who's talked that way.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, we have looked and tried to figure out how to do foot controls because
We
when
love to find
we
out.
love to find it, because when you're playing and you're talking and we have to go like this, we have to reach over in the
Yeah,
middle of the show.
Everything's manual. We have to not only switch between the camera and us, but then we have to go to the computer and switch something on there. We have like 2 switches to do instead of 1. Normally live show we would just have the camera, and it's much simpler, to make a long story short.
We have 71 images in our show that we have to switch, and they all have to coordinate with what we're saying and with the music we're going to play. And so it's, we have to go. I love foot switch would be fantastic, but we did a search for it and we couldn't find one.
Yeah, so if you could put us in touch with the foot switch guy,
Yeah, I think he straight up did a makeshift DIY popsicle sticks and PVC piping and all kinds of whatever else we use when we need to improvise.
maybe he has plans for it.
Yeah, we would love to find that.
Yeah. We make it more simple. It was, when we went to the online presentation, it was like having to rehearse a whole new show because it was just we just had to coordinate the images to where they worked with the musical and the storytelling.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah. So,
hey, Christopher, you've got your hand up.
In fact, my question was the one that's just been discussed about foot switching. I was just going to mention, I mean, we all know that, actually running the simplest of streaming shows, it's like being in a jet cockpit and with, I don't know about you guys, but when I've got chat streaming and I'm of course in the middle of the 3rd verse and it's like, what? Oh yeah, right. I'm supposed to remember lyrics too. But I mean, in terms, the example of a foot switch, I have sometimes when I'm doing a song that I don't remember, I put my iPad up and I have a Bluetooth foot switch for that. Seems like that should be possible for the Blackmagic somewhere, an aftermarket person doing that, but I haven't seen it. So
my hope is that as the music community has now become a live streaming, that's become one of our common stages now, that somebody with that technical know-how has decided that is a necessity and we need to create that.
Yeah.
That they haven't done that in the past probably says that people weren't DIYing video in the past. We were always relying on other people to do that for us. And More times than not, I'm reaching out to friends saying, hey, let me know how I sound, because I don't even know. I don't know what you guys are seeing, if I'm even in sync. Is that me echoing? It is. Who else has something they want to ask or share?
I guess my one comment on that was for people running focus shows, they actually have 3 people working the show. Somebody presenting, somebody doing the tech, and somebody doing the chat.
Mm-hmm. Which is great if that's available to you. That has not always been available to me. So but I kind of like the intimacy of the DIY and doing it all by myself. It brings people in. I get to hear from friends. Hey, you sound great. You look great. Cool, thank you. Or, I can't hear you. And you worry about it, and then you realize that it's their system.
Hey, Charlie, you do look great, though.
Thanks. I brushed my teeth this morning just for you. What else do we have? Anybody else have anything else?
Hey, Charlie,
Yes, sir.
I just put a thing in the comments, and I don't know if this would work for mini ATM or ATM, but I know with OBS you can use a MIDI foot pedal. You have to get a plug-in to it. You get the plug-in, then you can use the hotkeys to do switching. And it might be possible if there's some sort of, if there are hotkeys in mini ATM, I don't know how to say that word, but I looked into it and I just didn't want to go the HDMI route at the time. I've been using the iPhones and I've been using this camera and they all use USB. But my point is, if you have OBS, and it's possible that that would be available in Blackmagic, that you can use MIDI to control your hotkey and then get the effect you want for switching. I know it's possible, I just haven't done it yet.
One thing I don't think anybody's mentioned regarding the DSLR and mirrorless options is that because it is all manual, it's important to, I mean, you can set it up for like auto perfect, but anybody who likes to get under the hood, of course, is going to look for something different. But you want to make sure that your shutter speed is set correctly. So if you are piping out, if you want 30 frames per second, you need to double that. So you want to go to 60 frames per second needs to be your shutter speed. Otherwise you get this real weird jittery kind of performance on the other end, which you might not even notice until you look back at the video after you're all done and you think, that's not what I wanted. That looks weird. But yeah, you want to make sure that you set that shutter speed at twice whatever you're shooting for. So if you want 60 frames per second, then you need to go 120 frames per second on your actual shutter speed. And that can make or break you. Well, we're getting close to our end time here.
I wanted to stick this up. This is a Sony XA25.
Uh-huh.
Comes with two XLRs. It'll take phantom power. So I'm going to start experimenting with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put the board through this and then out to the computer. Anyway, that's going to be my next experiment. This produces fantastic images, but it's the sound, like there's been a lag coming out of the HDMI, so I'm going to try another way of using it.
Eric, on your lag, are you going into something like OBS? What do you run into when you stream?
Oh, well, at the moment, we're just streaming it into, well, we're just streaming it into Zoom.
Okay.
I've been fooling around with a program called Manycam, which I can use my I can use my smartphone wirelessly into that. I've had 3 cameras going and switching back and forth. You can do cuts, you can do transitions, and it's way simpler to use than OBS. So anyway, we're just sort of getting our toe in the water with this stuff. I mean, I've looked at OBS and I go, boy, is that ever intuitive?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do with it, but it gets complex, and you do get a lag between your audio and video that you need to adjust for within the software, which isn't that hard to do. And in one of our talks on OBS, he explains how to do that. And it's not difficult, but it takes a little bit of time. And I found that I was banging my head against the wall for a while, and then I got it right, and then I switched to StreamYard, and it doesn't make me do that at all. So.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm going to play with is this is an iRig unit for XLR, so I can use an iPhone or an iPad as the camera, and then I can plug anything I want into this, because this also takes 48. This is also do phantom power. So we're doing an open stage on like streaming open stage. So we've got to do 3 locations. One of them has an iPad, so we're going to play with this and see how well it works.
Bart, you look like you're about to say something.
Well, I was going to ask you, Charlie, does your image improve going through StreamYard?
Well, I'm limited at 720, which doesn't affect me in the Facebook world, but it dumbs me down in YouTube. But I like using StreamYard because I can go to multiple platforms at once.
Right.
And I'm not, particularly big fan of Facebook, but I understand that that's where my biggest audience is going to be. So, but as far as for documenting and cataloging and putting past shows up, I'm embedding it to my website. YouTube's a better choice for that. But if you pay a little bit more to StreamYard, yeah, you can get 1920. I said it. Okay. 1900. I don't know, something like that. 1080.
1080. Okay. So for Father's Day, besides the 22 millimeter, the EFM, is there another lens that you like that you can recommend?
On the EFM line, I like the Sigma quite a bit. Costs a little bit more. I've got the 30 millimeter, which I used for my live show the other night, and it was great. But it means the camera is much further back from me. I can't have the camera right up, so I need to get my settings straight before I go and sit down because I'm not that mobile. Watching me try to stretch across the room is pretty silly. It's dangerous. I need a harness. Probably literally, but I haven't done that. It's acrobatic at best. And just
how about for groups?
For groups, you want as wide a wide an angle as you possibly can. They make the 11 to 25 is 11 to 18, I think, is that one. So that 11 millimeter is going to give you a wider. But the 22s, if you tuck that back in a room a little bit, you're going to get a pretty wide shot and get the whole scene. And then just for a personal thing, I got into a macro lens the other day because I wanted to shoot bugs real small. I want to get cicadas and get them in tight. Cool. Well, let's start thinking about wrapping up here. I want to let you know what we've got coming up. So Thursday we're going to do our peer session again. That's at 2 o'clock, and that's open to everybody and anybody. And that is just an opportunity to just talk about whatever we're going through. So if it's reemerging into a regular world, or what are when are we ready to start doing live gigs, or whatever you want to talk about, we talk about, and sometimes we just talk about how we feel. And there's all kinds of things that we talk about. So it's Thursday at 2. And I'm going to the farm site right now because I need to know exactly what we've got coming up. And then we're backing off in the summer a little bit. So those the community peer sessions are bi-weekly, and then on the alternate weeks we have emotional support group, which is usually pretty small groups, but those are really nice for just people who are looking to check in, who are really isolated. I find it helpful. June 9th, we have our Folk DJ and Friends Peer Gathering. That's at 8 p.m. That's Wednesday, June 9th. 8 p.m. Eastern. All these times are Eastern time zone. And I'm pretty sure on the 22nd of June, Diane is going to be hosting something, and I'm not absolutely sure what it is right now, but I know that the 22nd of June, we're going to have another tech talk, but we are slowing down on our tech talks through the summer because people are getting back out into the world, and it's nice out, and it's showing in our numbers. Although today we've got a nice little group, so thank you all for being here with us today. And we're going to spend the summer really gearing up to put together the best virtual conference that we can possibly put together based on the resources and the needs and everything else that we're brainstorming right now. We're trying to figure it out. So we're going to be putting a lot of effort into that. But Thursday, we'll see you again at the peer gathering. If you want to join us for that, it's at 2 p.m. I don't have anything else, but thank you all for being here today. Does anybody have anything else they want to just say quickly before we sign out? Thumbs up.
Enjoyed it.
Yay, thanks. Yeah, this has been a nice thing. I'm going to be rewiring my living room so that it's cleaner and my wife is less upset about my toys.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, she's usually pretty cool. She actually advocated I get my own banjo, so I'm a lucky man. I haven't gotten the banjo yet, but she's all for it.
Yeah. Well, be sure to get an accordion too.
I don't know. That may be pushing it.
Yeah.
And a bagpipe.
No.
Oh, there you go.
Start taking fiddle.
I do have my Scottish roots. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I'm gonna start clipping wires and stuff.
Thanks, Charlie.
See y'all Thursday.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.